Have you ever gotten one of those emails, the really suspicious ones?
Oh, yeah, daily.
Or you hear some, wild scam story and just kind of think, how? How on earth does anyone actually fall for that?
It's a natural reaction, definitely. We all think we're too smart for it.
It really is, isn't it? But what if I told you that this whole art of the con, it's basically as old as, civilization itself?
Pretty much goes back that far, yeah.
So today, we're doing a deep dive. We're looking at, 4,000 years of fraud, deception,
Right.
from ancient counterfeiting.
All the way up to today's stuff, the AI-powered tricks.
Exactly, that really mind-bending AI stuff.
And our mission here, really, for you listening, is to pull out the key insights from all that history. Because, the methods, they change all the time. Technology, society moves
The
on.
how changes, constant.
But the why, the basic human stuff fraudsters exploit.
Yeah.
Greed, fear, trust, that stays remarkably consistent.
Interesting.
We want to uncover those enduring patterns, show how they're still super relevant for navigating, our modern world, all this information flying around.
Totally. And this isn't going to be some dry history lesson, right? We promise.
Honestly, no.
It's more a journey into, how ingenious human creativity can be, but, sometimes used for ill. Unfortunately.
Ingenuity gone wrong, sort of. It's fascinating in a dark way.
Yeah. We've got some really surprising facts lined up, and it tells us a lot, I think, about ourselves, about trust, technology, how that relationship keeps evolving.
It's a constant push and pull.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's unpack this and see what secrets these ancient scams hold.
Sounds good. Where do we start? Way back.
Let's start right at the beginning. Tracing fraud back to the earliest recorded stuff in ancient civilizations. We're talking basic things, right?
Yeah.
Like counterfeiting, tax evasion.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is how quickly humans started exploiting systems. Take ancient Egypt. We've got records showing tax collectors, systematically defrauding people.
How? How did they do it back then?
They used inaccurate measures for weighing grain, goods, stuff like that. So taxpayers were forced to overpay what they owed.
Wow, so that's basically early institutional fraud then?
Exactly. People in positions of power exploiting that power right from the get-go.
So it wasn't just, shady guys on the street corner. It was baked into the system sometimes.
Absolutely. The abuse of power for gain.
Wow.
It's a tale as old as time, unfortunately.
Okay, so what else from that ancient period?
Well, then we have maybe the first recorded insurance scam. It's around 300 BC. A Greek merchant named Hegestratos.
Insurance back then?
Yeah, a type called bottomry. It was basically maritime insurance. You only repaid the loan if the ship and cargo arrived safely.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Right, so Hegestratos took out this bottomry loan. His plan was to deliberately sink the ship empty.
Wait, empty? Where's the cargo?
He'd secretly sell the cargo beforehand, then sink the ship and claim the insurance.
Audacious, right?
That is bold. Did he get away with it? No. Thankfully. The crew caught him trying to scuttle the ship. He tried to escape, jumped overboard, and actually drowned.
Karma, maybe. But it's striking how familiar that sounds, isn't it? Insurance fraud 2,300 years ago.
The core elements are all there. Faking a loss, exploiting the information gap. That pattern was set early on.
Okay, so exploiting systems, faking losses.
Yeah.
What about just sheer audacity? Selling something you have absolutely no right to sell.
Oh, you mean like an entire empire?
Wait, what?
Yeah, Rome, 193 AD. The Praetorian Guard assassinated the Emperor Pertinax, and then, they auctioned off the Roman
They
Empire.
auctioned the empire. Seriously.
Seriously, to the highest bidder. A guy named Didius Julianus I paid about 25,000 sesterces per soldier, which today would be roughly £1 billion, maybe more.
That's it. I can't even process that. But how is that fraud? I mean, aside from being insane.
Because they had zero legitimate authority to sell it. They didn't own the empire. It was a complete power grab based on violence, presented as a transaction.
Right.
And that fraudulent sale, it directly caused a massive civil war. The whole Year of the Five Emperors mess.
Wow. That's like the ultimate scam. Selling something you don't own on the grandest scale imaginable. Almost like an ancient NFT scam, but with legions.
Kinda, yeah. Buying something with no real underlying claim or value, just based on who shouts loudest or, in this case, has the most swords.
Okay, so ancient scams, brute force, exploiting power, basic system hacks. Let's move forward. The Middle Ages. Big changes, right? Widespread illiteracy, huge power in the church, metallic coins. How did the con artists adapt?
Well, that lack of literacy was a huge vulnerability. So document forgery became incredibly powerful.
Makes sense. If few people can read, a convincing-looking document is hard to challenge.
Exactly. And the most infamous example, the donation of Constantine.
Ah, I've heard of this one.
Yeah, it was a totally fabricated document, probably made in the 8th century. It claimed Emperor Constantine had granted the Pope supreme authority over the Western Roman Empire.
Which he absolutely hadn't.
Nope. But this forgery, it massively influenced European politics for centuries, hundreds of years, until Lorenzo Valla finally proved it was a fake in the 15th century.
Think about that. A single piece of fake paper redirecting history. The power of a believable lie when verification is tough.
It's immense. And it wasn't just these grand political forgeries either. It happened on a smaller scale too.
Like everyday fraud.
Yeah, we actually have this amazing text from the 13th century, Embezzlement Instructions by a guy named Robert Carpenter.
Seriously, instructions for embezzling.
Step-by-step guides. How to defraud your medieval lord. Things like messing with livestock counts, faking cheese production numbers, cooking the books.
So employee fraud was alive and well in the 13th century. Cheese fraud.
Oh yeah, definitely a concern back then, just like it is for businesses today. People finding ways to skim off the top.
Okay, so document forgery, embezzlement. What about the money itself? Those gold and silver coins?
Coin clipping. That was huge and really damaging.
Like with scissors.
Sort of. Criminals would carefully shave tiny amounts of gold or silver off the edges of coins. They'd collect enough shavings to melt down and make new counterfeit coins.
And the clipped coins just stayed in circulation, looking dodgy?
Well, they tried to make it subtle. But yeah, the damaged coins stayed in circulation, often at full value, while the clippers pocketed the stolen metal. It debased the currency, caused chaos.
I bet the authorities weren't happy.
They declared it treason, punishable by death. It was that serious.
Wow. So how did they stop it?
It took centuries, but eventually Sir Isaac Newton.
The Isaac Newton, apples and gravity.
That's the one. While he was warden of the Royal Mint around 1696, he helped introduce milled edges on coins, those ridges you still see today, made clipping obvious.
So Isaac Newton wasn't just figuring out the cosmos, he was fighting counterfeiters too. Amazing.
Human ingenuity, right?
Yeah.
On both sides. Fighting fraud takes brains too.
Okay, let's move into the Renaissance and early modern period. Big flourishing of art, science, early financial markets popping up. Did fraud just find new playgrounds there?
Absolutely. New systems, new vulnerabilities, and it gets really interesting because even famous artists got involved.
Oh, like who?
Michelangelo. Early in his career, 1496, he sculpted a sleeping Cupid. Beautiful piece.
Okay.
Then he deliberately artificially aged it to make it look like an ancient Roman relic.
No way! He faked an antique.
Yep. Sold it to a cardinal, Raphael Riario, as the real deal.
Did he get caught? Was that the end of his career before it started?
Here's the crazy part. He did get found out, but the cardinal was actually so impressed by the skill it took to make the fake look real.
He wasn't mad.
No. He invited Michelangelo to Rome. It basically launched his career.
That's unbelievable. Failing upwards through fraud. What does that say about art and authenticity back then? Wild.
It's a fascinating anecdote, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe skill trumped provenance sometimes. But yeah, beyond art, you mentioned financial markets.
Right, the early bubbles. We still see those today, don't we? That pattern seems timeless.
Oh, absolutely. Takes us straight to the South Sea bubble.
Yeah.
1720. Huge speculative mania. People piled in, promised massive profits from trade with South America. Problem was the actual business. Mostly non-existent. Pure hype.
Sounds familiar. Who fell for it?
Get this. Even Sir Isaac Newton, again, apparently lost a fortune.
Newton got caught twice. Once fighting coin clippers, once losing money in a bubble.
Same so. It just shows how even brilliant, sophisticated people can get swept up in that kind of mass delusion and greed. The promise of easy money is powerful.
It really is. And you mentioned earlier technology enabling fraud. Did we see early examples even before, like modern computers?
Way before. Think optical telegraphs, like semaphore systems. France, 1830s.
Okay. How do you hack that?
The Blank brothers figured it out. They found a way to manipulate the signals to get early stock market information from Paris sent down the line to Bordeaux. Gave them a trading advantage.
That's incredible. Insider trading via semaphore, one of the first tech-enabled frauds.
Exactly. Shows that as soon as there's a new way to move information faster, someone will try to exploit it for financial gain.
Okay, moving into the 19th century. Many call this the golden age of fraud, right? Better transport, better communication, but verification was still lagging behind.
That's the perfect storm, yeah. Easier to travel, easier to communicate lies across distances, but harder to check facts. And this is when we get the term confidence man, the con man.
Someone who literally gains your confidence to defraud you. What were the big scams then?
The green goods scams were huge, classic bait and switch.
Green goods? What's that?
It advertised high-quality, counterfeit money green goods. Victims would agree to buy a stash, often sending money through the mail,
And they get,
a box of sawdust, or bricks, or just green paper. Nothing valuable.
wow, preying on greed again.
Totally. These scams were so common they actually forced a major update to mail fraud laws in 1889. And then there's the famous story, maybe legendary, maybe partly true, selling the Brooklyn Bridge.
People really believed they could buy the Brooklyn Bridge.
Apparently, yes. The story goes it was sold multiple times in the 1880s, 90s. Even if it's exaggerated, the fact that it's a plausible story for the era tells you something about gullibility.
Selling a bridge? But I heard about something even more audacious. Someone faking an entire country.
Gregor McGregor, yes. 1820s. He fabricated the nation of Poyas, supposedly in Central America.
How do you fabricate a country?
He created maps, guidebooks, flags, even its own currency. Convinced hundreds of investors in Britain to buy land bonds, government bonds, even recruited settlers to emigrate.
He got people to move there, to a place that didn't exist.
He did, sent ships full of hopeful settlers. They arrived, of course, to find nothing but dense jungle. Total disaster for them.
What happened to McGregor? Please tell me he didn't get away with it.
Oh, he got away. Escaped back to France and continued running similar scams. An absolute master charlatan.
Unbelievable, the scale of that lie, and any other creative ones from that era.
Well, there's A.V. Lamartine's fake suicide scheme. Kind of morbidly creative.
Fake suicide, how did that work?
He'd check into nice hotels, stage these dramatic scenes where it looked like he'd poisoned himself with laudanum. Then, sympathetic guests or staff would rush in, save him.
And then feel sorry for him and give him money?
Exactly. He'd collect donations from these good Samaritans who thought they'd saved his life. Played right on empathy.
Wow. Manipulating kindness itself. That's dark. Okay, let's shift gears. Early 20th century, things are getting more organized, more sophisticated financially, right?
Yeah, we move from maybe the lone con man to more structured, scalable schemes. And this brings us to a big name.
Let me guess. Ponzi.
I got it. Charles Ponzi, 1920. His operation really became the blueprint for modern pyramid schemes.
How did his specific one work? Something about stamps.
International postal reply coupons. He claimed he could make huge profits from arbitrage, buying them cheap in one country, redeeming them for higher value stamps in another. Promised investors insane returns, like 50% in 45 days.
Which was impossible, right?
Totally unsustainable. He was just paying early investors with money from new investors. Classic pyramid structure. He raked in about $20 million of fortune back then in just 8 months before it collapsed.
And now his name lives on in infamy. Were there others before him, though?
Oh yeah, similar schemes existed, like Sarah Howe's Ladies Deposit in the 1880s. But Ponzi's scale and the sheer amount of publicity it got really cemented the model and gave it its name.
Okay, so Ponzi schemes take off. What about identity fraud? That feels so modern, but did it have roots back then, too?
It absolutely did. Think Frank Abagnale Jr. You know, Catch Me If You Can.
Right, the movie. He really did all that.
Pretty much. Impersonated an airline pilot, a doctor, a lawyer, all while cashing millions in fraudulent checks across different countries in the 60s.
So he wasn't hacking computers, he was hacking people and systems through sheer confidence and forged documents.
Exactly. Showed how systematic identity manipulation could unlock huge fraud potential, being convincingly someone else.
And I guess new tech, like radio, opened new doors too? Mass media for mass fraud.
For sure. Radio led to the rise of boiler rooms.
Boiler rooms, like literal hot rooms.
Metaphorical ones. Cramped offices, packed with salesmen, cold calling people across the country, using high-pressure tactics to sell worthless stocks or dodgy products. Radio ads could lure people in, then the phone calls seal the deal. Mass outreach for scams.
So technology keeps creating these new avenues. Okay, latter half of the 20th century, 1950s onwards, tech keeps accelerating, computers start appearing, but also better detection, right? An arms race.
Definitely an arms race. Checked fraud got more sophisticated thanks to better printing, so banks had to develop better security features, magnetic ink, things like that.
And then credit cards arrived. That must have been a whole new ballgame.
Huge change. Suddenly you have this piece of plastic representing money. So you get card theft, counterfeiting cards using stolen numbers. Entirely new categories of financial crime opened up in the 60s and beyond.
And telemarketing fraud. My parents used to get those calls constantly in the 80s and 90s.
Exploded then, yeah. Long-distance calls got cheaper, deregulated. So fraudsters could set up these call centers, hit thousands of people a day very cheaply.
Who were they targeting?
Often the elderly, vulnerable populations, huge operations, bilking people out of billions with fake prizes, phony investments, dodgy charities. It was efficient, low-cost, large-scale deception.
Just awful. And on the bigger stage, corporate fraud. Were there signs of the massive scandals we'd see later?
Oh, yes. The savings and loan crisis in the U.S. in the 80s and 90s was enormous. Cost taxpayers hundreds of billions, lots of fraud, mismanagement, risky behavior hidden from regulators. It definitely foreshadowed the even bigger corporate implosions of the early 2000s.
Okay, which brings us to the internet, the digital age. Around 2000 on, this must have been like pouring gasoline on the fire for fraudsters, right? Removing so many barriers.
It was the complete game changer. Anonymity, global reach, low cost, perfect storm. Email phishing kicked off pretty early, mid-90s really.
The Nigerian prince.
The classic, the 419 scam, named after the Nigerian Penal Code section, offering a share of a fortune if you just help move it. For an advance fee, of course.
Did that really start with email?
Interestingly, no. The core idea actually dates back to mail-based scams from the 1920s, like the Spanish prisoner letter. But email gave it massive scale, reaching millions instantly for almost zero cost.
Wow, same scam, new tech. What else emerged online?
Online auction fraud became rampant. Think early eBay, selling non-existent goods, counterfeit items, taking payment and disappearing. Identity theft also transformed.
Right, you mentioned Abanel.
Who?
How did it change online?
It went from stealing someone's wallet or mail to massive data breaches. Hackers stealing databases with millions of people's personal info names, addresses, social security numbers, credit card details, industrial scale identity theft.
Terrifying. And online banking fraud started then too.
Yep. As soon as people started banking online, criminals started figuring out how to steal login details. Early malware, keyloggers, fake bank websites. Yeah. All designed to get access and drain accounts electronically. The physical vaults were replaced by digital vulnerabilities.
Okay, let's push into the more recent past, say 2010 to 2020. Social media explodes, smartphones are everywhere, crypto appears. What new vectors did those create?
Each one opened up new avenues. Social media, for instance, became a breeding ground for romance scams.
The catfishers?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But often far more organized and predatory. Criminals creating fake profiles, building intense emotional relationships over months, sometimes years.
A long con.
A very long con.
Yeah.
Building deep trust before asking for money for a sick relative, a plane ticket to visit, a business problem. They worked so well because they exploited love and connection, not just greed. Devastating financially and emotionally.
That's just cruel. And then came crypto. Bitcoin, 2009. Totally new kind of asset. How did scammers jump on that?
Immediately. Initial scams were often simple. Fake exchanges that just stole deposits. Ponzi schemes promising impossible returns on crypto investments.
What made crypto so attractive for fraud?
The big thing was the pseudonymity. Transactions are on a public ledger, but linking those wallet addresses to real-world identities is hard. Makes tracing stolen funds and prosecuting criminals incredibly difficult. Much harder than traditional banking.
A new Wild West, almost.
In many ways, yes, especially early on. And then you have mobile technology, our phones.
Always on, always with us, a constant target.
Very much. Suddenly you have SMS, phishing, smishing, malicious apps stealing data, SIM swapping attacks to take over someone's phone number and bypass security.
SIM swapping, how does that work?
Tricking the phone company into transferring your number to a SIM card controlled by the criminal.
Yeah.
Then they can intercept security codes sent via text, get into your bank accounts, crypto wallets.
Very dangerous.
And just the fact that we're reachable 24/7 via our phones.
Exactly. It dramatically expanded the attack surface. Fraudsters can reach you anytime, anywhere, no escape. Which brings us right up to today, the AI era. You said earlier this might be the biggest shift since the printing press. Why? How is AI changing fraud right now?
Because AI and machine learning are essentially democratizing sophisticated fraud. Techniques that used to require deep technical skill, maybe a whole team, can now be done much more easily by less skilled individuals using AI tools.
Lowering the barrier to entry for complex scams.
Exactly. Think about deepfakes.
Yeah, we hear so much about them. How are they being used for fraud?
We now have documented cases where criminals use AI voice cloning to impersonate a CEO, call an employee in finance, and authorize urgent, fraudulent wire transfers.
And the voice sounds completely real.
Convincing enough to fool someone under pressure. These attacks bypass traditional checks. How do you verify when you can't trust what you hear or even see in a video call?
That's terrifying. It undermines basic trust.
It really does. And it's not just deepfakes. Think about AI-powered social engineering.
Making the manipulation even more personal.
Way more personal. AI can scrape your social media, your online activity, figure out your interests, your fears, your connections, then craft incredibly tailored phishing messages or scam pitches designed just for you.
Wow.
And AI chatbots can run thousands of these personalized scam conversations simultaneously. Scale and personalization combined. It's incredibly insidious.
Okay, let's go back to crypto fraud, because that's evolved too, hasn't it? Into these things called pig butchering schemes. Horrible name.
Horrible name for a horrible scam. It combines the long con romance scam with crypto investment fraud.
How did it work?
The butcher develops a relationship, often romantic, online over weeks or months, builds deep trust. Then they gradually introduce the idea of crypto investing, maybe showing fake profits on a platform they control. They coax the victim into investing small amounts, then more, then much more.
Fattening them up before the butchering.
Exactly. Yeah. Eventually, the victim invests huge sums, often their life savings, sometimes taking out loans, and then the scammer disappears. The platform is fake, the money is gone. Losses often run into hundreds of thousands, even millions per victim.
That's devastating, exploiting love and trust to lead someone to financial ruin.
It's incredibly destructive. Combines the worst of emotional manipulation with modern tech.
And the overall scale of fraud today, with all these AI tools and global reach, the numbers must be huge.
They're staggering. In 2023, estimates suggest over $1 trillion was lost globally to various fraud schemes. Businesses lose, on average, something like 1.5% of their profits, and consumer losses reported to authorities hit $8.8 billion, which was up 30% from the year before, and that's just what gets reported.
$1 trillion, it's almost too big to comprehend.
It impacts everything. Prices go up, trust goes down, it's a massive drain.
Okay, so we've gone from ancient Egypt weighing grain to AI cloning voices and trillion-dollar losses. After this whole journey, what are the big patterns, the consistent themes that run through these 4,000 years of deception?
Yeah, looking back, a few key themes really stand out. First, what I'd call technology amplification.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Every major new technology, printing press, telegraph, telephone, internet, AI, it gets adopted and weaponized by criminals almost immediately. It creates new ways to commit fraud, often faster than we can build defenses. Fraudsters are early adopters.
So tech development and fraud development go hand in hand almost.
Pretty much. Second, the social engineering constants. Despite all the tech changes, the core psychological buttons fraudsters push, they haven't changed much.
Greed,
fear, trust, authority, urgency, empathy. The tactics used by a 19th century con man aren't fundamentally different from a modern romance scammer or fisher. Same playbook, different tools. Human nature remains the key vulnerability.
We're still falling for the same basic tricks.
In many ways, yes. Third, scale and sophistication. Ancient scams were mostly local, individual. Modern digital fraud can hit millions globally simultaneously. The potential impact has grown exponentially, even if the core deception is similar.
Right.
Regulatory evolution, or maybe regulatory lag. Laws and enforcement consistently struggle to keep up with fraud innovation. We usually only get new regulations after huge losses happen. We're seeing that right now with AI. How do we regulate deepfakes or AI-driven scams effectively? It's always reactive.
We're always fighting the last war.
Often feels like it. And finally, the democratization of crime.
Meaning it gets easier for average people to commit sophisticated fraud.
Exactly. Photocopying made basic counterfeiting easier in the 20th century. Now, AI tools are putting advanced capabilities like creating deepfakes, running automated social engineering campaigns into the hands of people without elite hacking skills. The barrier to entry for serious fraud is dropping.
So summing it up, fraud is like this dark mirror, reflecting our tech progress, but also our unchanging human weaknesses.
That's a great way to put it. A dark mirror. It's this constant dance between innovation and exploitation, showing both how far we've come technologically and how vulnerable we remain socially and psychologically.
Wow. So, what does this all mean for you listening right now? As we dive deeper into this AI era where fakes get more convincing every day, maybe the best defense isn't just the latest antivirus software. Maybe it's about understanding these ancient, enduring patterns of trust, deception, and those core human triggers. What stands out to YU from this deep dive into the history of scams? What will you look for next time something seems just a little too good to be true? Or maybe a little too perfectly tailored to you? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.